Hello, DCL podcast fans. It's Steve. I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. If you've been following our journey, at least Ahnawake and mine, as far as cruising goes, you'll know that we've fallen in love with just trying to find live music wherever we can. And especially when you go to Europe, you can hear a lot of different live music, whether you're out in the ports, on adventures, or just around the ships itself. So I tried to blend that in a little bit, and I wanted to give you kind of a heads up as you listen to the snippets of our cruise over to Greece this past June. The first thing you're going to hear when we were on the island of Capri, we were kind of stuck with some buses, and there was a whole bunch of groups from our ship and then the other ships, a couple other ships as well. They were waiting on buses to go in between the towns, and one of the groups, there was a group of people, and one of the guys had an accordion, and he pulled it out as we were waiting, and they just started singing a whole bunch of different, it sounded like kind of Jewish folk songs, and it was a lot of fun to listen to that. So I caught a little snippet of that. The next one you'll hear in between the snippets is up above the Cove Bar, right across from Currents, above the adult area on this ship. And as we're starting to see too, I remember in the Magic and the Wonder as well, in the afternoons, like about 4 o'clock or so, they would have live music up there, and it was a lot of fun to just kind of hang out up there and enjoy the evening, or enjoy the early afternoon, I guess, after getting back from an adventure, maybe with a beverage and taking in the music and just kind of chilling back after kind of a busy morning and whatnot. And this did not disappoint as well. They had several different groups up there playing, and so I hope you enjoyed this quick little snippet of the Beatles that we caught. And then the last one was, well, we were on our port adventure in Santorini. We talked about this. You will talk about it in this podcast. We just had a great port adventure, which featured kind of a Greek festival and lunch. And one of the gentlemen, or one of the instruments they played was a bouzouki. It's kind of a guitar. Look it up. Bouzouki. Just a really cool instrument that sets a tone, and you'll hear it. I just got people up dancing, and it was probably one of the highlights of the different port adventures that we did, at least for me, on this cruise. So I hope you enjoyed this, a little bit of a blend in music along with the snippets as well. And since I've been talking so much, it's time to get on over to Greece and talk about our cruise. And as they say, on with the show. Enjoy, everybody. Well, hello, and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, DCL podcast fans, welcome to our first snippets. It's a little loud. We're sitting out on a balcony, and a motorbike goes by in Rome. And
very Roman.
Joining me is my traveling partner in crime, Ahnawake.
Hello.
And we're just going to talk a little bit about our time in France, and then Disneyland Paris quick, and then here in Rome. So this is going to be quick, but we'll just talk about some of the highlights and stuff like that. It's good to be back in Rome. I love this city. I call this city, this is the third time we've been here, it's like a dirty, lived-in city, but dirty in a good way, I think. So
it's definitely lived in. And I would say that we've been back, this is my third trip back in the last decade. And the first time I was like, when I traveled through Europe after college, this wasn't one of my favorite places. But then after these 3 trips, it has definitely won over my heart.
Yeah.
It's easy to get around. The people are friendly. The food is good. It's great.
A lot to see. I mean, just amazing architecture, art, ancient artifacts. I mean, it's an amazing place. Yeah, so make no, what I called it dirty.
It's a big city.
Make no doubt that I love Rome, so that was no disparaging whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely it's a big city like any big city.
It's well lived in, so.
Yes.
Anyways, all right, so we started off this trip in Paris. We stayed in a nice little hotel in a place that we'd stayed at before.
Oh, it's across the street from where we'd stayed before.
Right, but same street.
Same little street, yeah. It's called Rue Claire. If there's any Rick Steves fans out there, it's one of Rick's favorites as well. We stayed in a hotel there 20 years ago with my parents. We brought my mom to Paris for her 60th birthday. And the hotel that we stayed in with my parents was not available for a family of 4. And so we stayed at a sister hotel across the street. Loved it. Loved the neighborhood. Loved the hotel. Walking distance to the Eiffel Tower, pretty much everything that we wanted to see we could walk to, and if we couldn't, the metro stop was super close and we could metro quickly. Great location.
Yeah, Claire, C-L-E-R. What's nice about it is it's kind of a quiet street, but there's a bunch of brasseries, there's a creperie, there's a gelato place, there's do they call it gelato there? No,
they do call it gelato there.
Totally space it out.
Lots of great restaurants, lots of great. Yeah,
lovely. Really easygoing brasseries, and because enough Americans probably stay at those hotels, they're used to
non-French speakers.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to get around that city from most of the places where tourists are.
It 100%
And just pop into those little brasseries and get some great food and drinks or whatever you want to do. Cappuccino, all that type of stuff, coffee. So a nice little street. So it's not busy, which is sort of nice.
Right, and it's a pedestrian street for the most part.
Right. So I think we'll talk about the two bike things we did. We just did an e-bike tour in Rome, but we also did a tour in Paris called Fat Bike Tours. Fat Tire Tours. What did you think of that?
Loved both, really. So the Fat Tire tour that we booked was actually like an all-day Paris tour. It was supposed to be half day bike, half day at the Eiffel Tower to going to the summit, and then they gave us tickets to go on a boat tour on the Seine anytime during our stay. And we had some mishaps with our flights, and so we were supposed to have gotten in Tuesday night. We didn't get in until Wednesday morning, and so when our original flight canceled, I emailed the Fat Tire people and asked if we could move the tour, and that wasn't an option. But what they did do, they were super accommodating, and they let us split it up into multiple days. So the very first day, our Eiffel Tower tickets couldn't be moved. So the first day we went to the Eiffel Tower and had a great tour, went up to the summit. The next day we did a bike tour pretty much all over town on regular pedal bikes, and then we actually went and did the boat tour that evening.
Yeah, Eiffel. Go ahead.
No, just that it was nice. It was a package deal.
Right. The Eiffel Tower was neat. I'd never actually been up in the Eiffel Tower, so that was kind of cool to go up there. And our guide Vito did a really good job telling us a lot of history about Paris, and then also why the tower was built. And then once we got up there, he took us around on the second floor mostly to
show us the sites from there.
Show us the different sites, and then talk about the history of why those sites are important as well.
Exactly.
The Seine River cruise.
It was relaxing, and it actually took us down to and around the. I'm not going to say it correctly, but Ile de Cité, the original Paris, where Notre Dame is. You can't go in Notre Dame right now because of the restorations after the fire. So the boat just went and circled around the island, which was good enough. It was quicker to do it that way than it would have been to walk out there and walk around it.
Right. So. They gave audio, but it was kind of a mass market boat tour where they were giving it in every different language, yes. And you could barely hear it when they were doing it. So.
I mean, it was just like, I think that might be, and Notre Dame you can pick out, that's what that is.
Right. But so it was, as far as getting a lot of information, we didn't get a lot of information out of it. But it was, so if
but
you
we
really...
got a lot of information on the bike tour and a lot of information on the Eiffel Tower tour, so we didn't really need a whole lot of information from the boat tour.
Right. So it was a nice little cruise down the river. But the bike tour itself, that was really cool. There's about 10 of us. I didn't realize it was going to go as long as it did, which was fine, but it was about 4.5 hour tour, and we just went all over Paris, and Paris is fairly flat compared to Rome, which we'll talk about here in a second, so it's pretty easy on the bikes to get everywhere. They did a really good job of generally keeping us off some of the busy streets. It was busy, so if you're...
A little bit, but not,
if you're
I am not a very confident biker, and I was fine.
Yeah, if you're faint of heart about biking, maybe be a little worried about it.
Next to cars and stuff. I mean, you're all out there together.
Yeah, but for the most part, it seemed like the cars and the drivers, and both in Paris and here in Rome, they were kind of used to seeing.
They're kind of clear that there's tourists on bikes around.
Groups of people traveling around, and they were, when our guide stopped one of the cars, they would all stop and wait for us, and we'd all cut across.
Yeah, they knew that it wasn't just the one person.
Yeah. Anyways, but lots of information. We got to see what are some of the different places we went to? Do you remember? We went by the Eiffel Tower, obviously. We went by the Arc de Triomphe. We went down the Tuileries. We saw the Louvre, and several other different spots throughout Paris. And each one of them she stopped, and as we got to, and it would give a little bit of background information on why it was important. And the three different kings, Louis the 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Oh, yeah, the Sun King, the Fun King, and the Dun King.
The Dun King, the one that lost his head at the French Revolution as Napoleon came into being after that. But anyways, it was really cool. And we had a lunch in the Tuileries.
Which is lovely.
Yeah, which was nice to do, and then came back. So it was a really enjoyable time in Paris. Let's just touch really quick on Disneyland Paris. I think if I went back and did it again, I'm not sure, and we really had a good time, I'm not sure that I would necessarily stay out there, but I think what would be fun is if you're here for 5 or 6 or 7 days, is just to pop out there for the day. I would consider leaving early morning from Paris, taking the train out because it's not very far, spending the day in the park, and then possibly spending the night, and then you
because it's a 10-minute train ride to the airport, like to do Disneyland Paris the night before you were leaving.
Right.
So then you just your quick train ride back to the airport to head home.
So it was June 16th, 17th, and 18th, I think we were there.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, so June 16th, 17th, and 18th. And I think we're a little bit lucky looking at some people's remarks on Facebook that the British school kids aren't out yet. So maybe
French
that was...
school kids.
Well, British also. That's what...
Oh, really? Okay.
The person on Facebook...
It was very quiet.
Yeah. So we got there Friday night. There's hardly anybody there. It was like lines were like 5, 10.
Friday night was actually lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, we felt like we were in the park all by ourselves.
Well, I wouldn't go...
I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it did feel that way.
Well, the lines were short, and a lot of people started lining up early. They have a drone show to see, and so that made it easy to go and do Space Mountain and do all the different
right,
things that
because there was
we wanted
nobody
to
else waiting. Yeah.
Phantom Manor, Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, all thumbs up.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, Space Mountain was...
all totally different than they are in the States. Yeah, no, they were all cool.
I'm going to be controversial here, and Nova will kill me, but they need to tear down all those Space Mountains in the States and put and rebuild
this one in.
Put this one in, because it is awesome.
There's a surprise in it if you haven't been.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about it, but wow, that was a really cool roller coaster. Okay. I really enjoyed that.
Can I just say, speaking of surprises, we did not get very... we'd heard that the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland Paris was not worth the wait.
Well, it wasn't worth a long wait.
It wasn't worth a long wait. So on the second day, we spent most of the day in the park, and right as we were getting ready to head out, there was only a 5-minute wait. So we thought, for 5 minutes, let's go check it out. And it was super fun. And it's a little 2-car train, and it does a loop, which is kind of nuts.
It's kind of a beefed up, goofy Sky School with a loop in it. Yes, you kind of get thrown around quite a bit. So if you don't like it thrown around, just be warned about that.
Yeah, you definitely need to press your head up against the back of your seat, or you're going to have a little... Alex said we're going to get that brain disease that the football players get.
CTE. Oh my gosh, yeah, because you get thrown around quite a bit. But that was... Yeah,
it was fun. It was totally worth the walking over to the far corner of the park.
And I think maybe you said it best. I think that's what would do next time, is maybe go over there in the morning, spend the day at the parks, maybe spend the night there, and then head to the airport afterwards, because that was an easy way to do it, rather than taking the train there and back. However you do it. But it's worth going to see. What a beautiful park. Just the setting itself and the buildings and everything like that are just incredible. And
the same yet different.
Yeah, same but different. But definitely go and check it out. So from there, we came over to Rome yesterday afternoon. Went to our favorite restaurant, which is right near... We use Rick Steves again, and just stay in these little small local hotels near Termini, which is the train station. So it's kind of a busier... I don't know, it's not really the business section. There are other tourists that stay here, but it's not down in the middle of the Spanish Steps and some of the other places where people stay.
It's definitely... It's, again, easy, convenient location, lots of nice little hotels. It's good. Easy to walk to from the train station.
Yeah, easy to walk to from the train station, so you don't have to deal with that. You can just walk
because it's a little
over.
bit of chaos. I mean, there's trains and buses, and cars, and it is total chaos at the train station. But you can just... It's easier to walk than to try to figure out how to navigate it any other way.
Right. So, but Rome, other than when it gets hot, and then once you get sweaty, it doesn't really matter anymore. But very walkable city. Also, the metro is super easy to use.
Yes, buses are easy to use.
Buses are easy to use if you want to take a bus. The last time we were here, or the first time we came here, we did the hop on hop off bus, and that's how we got over to the Vatican, because that's a ways away. But for the most part, this little area here, you can get down to the Spanish Steps, the Trevi Fountain, also over to the Colosseum, and all of the ruins around that.
I will say, any place where it is crowded, you do need to, in Paris and here in Rome, you need to be careful of pickpockets, and it's really just a matter of paying attention to your surroundings. Don't have your bag behind you, put your bag in front of you, don't have anything in your back pocket, don't set your bag down underneath your chair, put it in front of your feet. Just all of those things. Be aware of people coming to try to talk to you, and it's the one that you can't see versus the one that you can that you need to be worried about. Just it is a problem, and they are out there, but I think if you have good situational awareness, it really shouldn't affect you.
Right. So today we pivoted. Well, we didn't pivot, but we went through the Roman guy. It actually is called the tour guy now. It used to be called the Roman guy, but he's gotten so big that they
just tours in other cities.
They tours in other cities, so now it's called the tour guide. And I know that people have used them, but in the past I've always had really good luck with them. And so that's who we booked an e-bike tour versus going through the Fat Tire people. And actually, after seeing the Fat Tire people riding around, which I think would have been a good tour too, I'm glad we picked what we did because we had the e-bikes with the assist. And if you've never ridden one before, well, we don't have to go to that. But Ahnawake had a little struggle in Paris, but once you get used to it, it's super easy to use.
It was super easy, yes.
And because Rome is so hilly, we got to go to a lot more places a little bit easier. I'm not sure the Fat Tire Tour people went to some of the places we did.
Right, like we went up on this hill to get this amazing view of the city, and there's a fountain up there that one of the popes had commissioned, and we got this beautiful view of the city, and it was a pretty significant hill. I mean, if you knew how to bike and change gears and stuff, you probably could have made it on a regular bike, but it was a piece of cake doing it on the e-bike with the assist.
Right. So
I mean, you could barely hit to pedal even.
Yeah. So I think doing an e-bike tour through Rome, if it's something you want to do versus the Fat Tire tours, that you might look into that.
Highly recommend.
Because I think we got to cover more of the city just because we were going faster, and we got to see more things.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we stopped at about 12 or 14 different spots. Once again,
went all through the Jewish Quarter, all of the big highlights we saw, including the Rome's oldest coffee shop,
the Pantheon. We didn't go by you don't go by the Colosseum, but you hit a lot of the other big spots. And once again,
we kind of see it. We did not go by the Colosseum, right?
Right. And once again, we
didn't go by the Vatican.
Right. So mostly stuff around the Old Town area of Rome is kind of what we saw, the Jewish Quarter, and then the Circus Maximus, and also getting a lot of history of Rome from the founding of Rome all the way to mythology to Caesar, and then to after that.
I mean, the last 100 years. World War II.
Mussolini. Showed the window where Mussolini gave his speech to the Italian masses
spoke to the Italians
in 1942, which was
showed us all of the medieval homes that were torn down so that Mussolini could see the Colosseum from his window because he fancied himself the first emperor of Rome. Anyway.
Right. Which luckily that didn't happen.
Right.
Well, if you want to know more about that history, then read up on it.
Yeah.
But I love Rome. I guess we'll kind of close it out with that. So we are going to head over to Termini. There's a cool little bookstore over there we're going to take a look at, and then wander down to a restaurant that we went to last time because our favorite place was closed. And our favorite place isn't anything fancy. It's just a little I call it mom and pop, but it's just a restaurant that's been around and run by a really nice family forever. And
down a cool little dead-end street, and
the pasta's really good, the pizza's good, the salads are good, and the wine is always good.
Yes. So, and today's my birthday, so we're having gelato for birthday dessert.
There we go. So if you're headed over to Rome this year or thinking about coming here next year,
don't be intimidated.
Don't be intimidated.
It's easy.
A great city, a lot of things to see. I will put up a lot of people asking how to get to the port because the port is over an hour away. We use Civitavecchia shuttle service. I'll put a link in this show. It's a little bit more expensive, but we've used them twice and used them today.
It's
They're
always
reliable.
Comfortable.
Yeah. If you want to do it cheap, you can go to the train station and do it that way as well.
But it's warm here, and the train does not drop you off at the ship.
No, but
you have to walk, or there's a bus, or something like that from
the
train station to the ship. Which
so
we always have too much stuff for that.
So, anyways, if you're looking for a shuttle service, I'll put that in there. We've had a lot of luck with that. They were in our Facebook group, and I'll give a plug out for that. Most of every Facebook group that we've joined in Europe we found a lot of information useful from people.
Helpful. Yeah.
So generally in the States, I guess, when we've cruised, they're fun groups. You get some information. If you're a new cruiser, definitely do it because you'll definitely get a lot of information there. And don't be intimidated to ask because people are really helpful usually in most of the Facebook groups. So, but especially when you come to Europe, I think when you're out of your element a little bit more and you're going to a city that you haven't been to before or whatever else, you can get a lot of great information in those Facebook groups.
Right, for sure, because there's always going to be somebody who's done it before.
Right. So we've had a lot. There was one link where people were like, how do you get to the port? And so that people are throwing out different things and whatnot. So We will definitely link up what we use. But I guess that'll be it. We're going to head out and have some dinner tonight in Rome, and then hopefully find the Disney Dream tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Yay.
And we'll be back with some more snippets talking about our cruise around the Greek islands. It's a 7-day cruise stopping in Naples, Mykonos, Santorini, Hania. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
And 2 sea days.
Yeah.
So looking forward to see what the dream's like in Europe.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back, everybody, and we'll see you next time on the Snippets. Goodbye.
See you later.
Well, welcome back to our second Snippets, and usually we've done one before now. So we're actually on
busy days.
Yeah, busy days. We're on the sea day already, so day 3,
Day
I guess.
3, yep.
Day 3. So I guess we'll just kick it off with getting on the Dream. Really wasn't too bad. A little hectic, I think, at the port, like it usually is when these outside of Port Canaveral.
Yeah, it seems that, well, we were talking about it last night, that they need bigger signs to show where your line is, because there seems to be a lot of confusion, especially people who've never cruised before, and maybe even people who just have cruised but have never cruised out of Europe before. It's just, the infrastructure is not what it is in Port Canaveral, so you have to, pack your patience, and just ask. Right? If you don't know where you're supposed to go, there are plenty of people around port, people who work at the port around. Ask them what line you're supposed to be in. Tell them what time you're supposed to be there. And we have discovered, kind of through, trial and error, I guess, that it's best to arrive slightly after your port arrival time. And then tell them that your time has passed. They just kind of let you go. And it's quick and easy and pretty painless.
So basically, they left everybody outside, and you had to kind of find your group based on your time. But if you get there after your time, just start asking people.
They just send you to the security.
Find some Disney employee, ask them, and they'll send you right through.
Don't ask the people waiting in line; they don't know either.
No. And I think I do feel for them, because if it's your first cruise or first time over here, you have no idea what's going on.
It feels like chaos. It is organized chaos. It is.
But it was like super easy once we got the right person, and she showed us like, oh, you guys are clear to go. So we went right through security, got our passports looked at and everything like that, and up and onto the ship in no time.
Yep, easy peasy.
Yeah, I went up to Cabanas as we usually do. We're sitting out in kind of the adult area right now, just outside the Coke Cafe, so it's a little bit loud. Hopefully not too loud, I guess, as we're talking here. But then, first day had a sea day. We got a great serving crew.
We do.
Started off in Enchanted Garden, and then we had Royal Palace last night. Yes. And tonight we're headed to Animator's Palette, and we've got Paolo booked later on in the cruise.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about the Dream. What do you think about the Dream being in Europe? It was kind of weird not being on the Magic.
It's a little weird. Yeah, not to not be on the Magic. It's nice. It's nice.
Well,
it's fine.
I think we like all the Disney ships, but I think the older ships and then the Dream and the Fantasy are probably our favorites, at least right now. And it's just a comfortable ship to be in. I just like the way it's set up.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's set out and everything like that. We enjoy the restaurants and all that type of stuff. I just feel like there's more space, and you don't have the crowding sometimes that you do on the Wish, which makes it really enjoyable.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely better than.
So I'm totally
Should we talk about yesterday?
Well, before we talk about yesterday, I want to throw one other thing out there. So the app didn't work, so there was a little bit of problems there.
Right.
They didn't get it going until about 6:00 at night, and so we went down to talk to guest services about that, plus do a couple other things.
And they were working the line really well.
And they were working the line really well. They had people out in front of each one of the restaurants. So if you had a 5:30 or 5:45 dining time, they could point you in the right direction, and it seemed like it was working pretty well. They finally got it going about 6, and then people could kind of figure out where they were going. We knew where we were going by then. But what was kind of cool was we're standing in line, and we noticed that they were handing out, as Christy would say, included drinks, but I'll say free, because anytime they give you something for free, I enjoy it.
Right.
But they were walking around handing out free drinks.
Because they were doing a 25th celebration reception or something like that.
Well, it was a 25th celebration toast, which was super cool.
Yes, that's true.
So we kind of stumbled into that because we're kind of the
We're kind of in line.
Yeah, we're kind of the knuckleheads that oh wow, look at that, what's going on over there? So we got some drinks, joined in the toast. They had a little song with all the characters, and then the cruise director Lee and the assistant cruise director came out and gave a little talk about it. And then, it was kind of cool to do that.
It was fun, yeah.
So, and where else have we been to that's been fun? Meridian Bar.
Yeah, we do like Meridian.
Love that place. Just such amazing drinks up there.
Great service.
So,
beautiful view.
Yeah, hopefully we can do that tonight. We did trivia last night, 70s trivia, although...
We didn't do very well.
Well, I think we would have done well if we were in it together, but you didn't show up until You didn't show up.
We sat by the pool longer than... It was hot yesterday.
Well, after we got back. We got back a little later than normal, but so... I think you got there by about the 11th song, and I kind of struggle with my 70s trivia. The 70s music trivia, that is. So they got 80s tonight. We'll see if we can... I don't know. There's always like groups of people that have like 8 or 9 people.
Right, and you can't compete with them.
You can't compete against them somehow. So let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday we went to the island of Capri.
Yeah.
Yes, not Capri, as we learned.
Our guide said that when we say it Capri, his ears bleed.
It does. So why don't you talk a little bit about what we did in Capri?
So we got off the ship, walked over to get on a hydrofoil, for an hour long trip to the island. Got off that hydrofoil. Went and got on a, I can't think what the word is.
Funicular.
Up to the town, the largest town on the island, the town is also called Capri. And I wandered around, followed our guide up to this garden for beautiful views and really pretty garden space, and kind of cool to just kind of wander through the town. And then we had a meeting spot at the top of the funicular. So he kind of let us wander around on our own. We got some granita, some frozen lemonade. Just wandered around, bought some T-shirts.
The view up there was amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
The gardens are beautiful, cute little boutique hotels and shops that you walk along to get out there. And then once you're up there, you get this just great view. And what was funny is there's probably about 10 or 15, maybe 20 yachts out there. I mean, a couple big yachts.
Yeah.
And as we found out, supposedly one of the guests on our tour said that I can't remember the relation, but somehow her ex-husband's has a relationship with the Jerry Jones family of the Dallas Cowboys, and one of those yachts down there was his, and it was massive.
Yeah.
So if you're Dallas Cowboy fans and you're a season ticket holder,
that's where your money's going.
That's where part of your money's going.
So take the Jones family to Capri.
Yeah, to launch his yacht around Capri. But what was funny was there's probably about maybe 15, 20 yachts down there, and they were this is hardly anything compared to what it's like later in the summer. The summer really kicks off, I think, July and August here, where where it really gets busy.
Yeah, we're a little early.
But yeah, it was really cool to see that. And then there's a little arch down there, which that was kind of cool. They got a little story behind it.
He said that if you go through the arch with, your significant other, that your love will last forever.
If you kiss.
Oh, if you kiss.
Yeah, you gotta kiss while you're underneath the arch. So there was boat after boat after boat going through there. So a lot of kissing going on down there, I think. Or maybe just it's cool to drive through the arch.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, so then from there we went back. Got a bus ride, and I will say that it was a little bit of chaos in all this.
So that's a point that I wanted to make. So again, pack your patience if you come to do these Europe sailings. These are small places that have a lot of people. When the cruise ship disgorges its contents of passengers onto these small islands, it's kind of overwhelming for the infrastructure of the island. So you need to be patient. You need to realize that everything's not running like clockwork. The rest of the world does not operate on American type A personalities. Be patient, enjoy the scenery, take it in, relax, take a deep breath, and the bus will show up eventually.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
If
it's hot, go stand in the shade.
I guess I'm just gonna throw it out here because there was a cast member, not somebody from Disney Cruise Line, that made a comment to one of the
there was a cruise line Port Adventure person that came with us.
Right. She was super cool, Tamara. She's checking out the Port Adventure. They get to go out and see what people are seeing and everything like that, so they can kind of explain it to guests when they do it. But he
just said he was a cast member
from somewhere. And
I turned my back on him. He was annoying to me.
Very upset about the fact that it was not running efficiently and as it should be.
It's like this windy road and these little buses, and like, what is he expecting? He needs to,
yeah.
I'm not
So
gonna be mean.
I know. Anyways, but I did want to throw that out there that it was. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed to see somebody say that.
Me too.
But I totally get the feeling sometimes where you like get frustrated.
It's hot.
It was hot out there in the sun, waiting for the bus.
And you're sweaty, and yeah.
But let's go with the positives, because it was a great
and
trip, and we really enjoyed the excursion. So then we got on a bus, went up to Ahnawake, which is Ahnawake,
Yeah.
which is the smaller little town, and we had lunch, which was fabulous.
Yeah.
Pasta and
Just kept coming.
charcuterie type board. Was it not charcuterie?
Yeah.
Was it charcuterie?
Like antipasti. Yeah.
Antipasta. That's the word I was looking for. And some wine and everything else. It was just a fabulous.
Should have made waiting for the bus better.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, I guess.
Which after our Greek dinner eating in Kefalonia last year, this was like clockwork. It was awesome. They brought the food out. They were ready for us.
Time.
The food was amazing and everything like that. But we got done with that, and he gave us a choice to either go to a museum, which ended up being the Michel House Museum. San Michel House, which they told us that during World War II, that's where Eisenhower and Churchill met.
Yes.
It was on the island of Capri, and they had some discussion there, which made it famous, and now they actually have a museum, and the guy that founded that house was a collector of Roman artifacts.
Yes.
So they had a lot of different Roman artifacts. We didn't go to the museum. We elected to do the chairlift, which we both kind of thought.
I think all four of us were like, well, how exciting can this be? But it was really cool.
Yeah, it was fabulous. Like, you got on this little chairlift. It was, one person per chair. It was a small little chair. And after just, like, the heat and the noise and, like, kind of the hustle and bustle of...
To get up there, and it was quiet, and the breeze, and the views, and you could hear the birds, and a little bit of voyeurism. You could look into people's backyards and see what people's houses and yards look like away from the tourist center of town.
Yeah.
It was, and the gardens, and it was amazing.
Little vineyards and everything else up there. So you get up to the very top of Capri, and they have a little cafe up there, which I wish we had more time, because it would have been kind of cool to have an ice cream or something like that, a gelato. But boy, the views were even more spectacular up there than
it just
than
kept
even
getting
the
more
garden.
and more amazing every step. Yeah.
So, and somebody brought a drone up. Which
Yeah,
I would love to
yeah.
see some of the shots that they got.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was just was well worth. I'm glad we did that. That was
me too.
That was super cool.
Me too.
So then we came down, got on our bus, came back to.
It took us all the way back to where the
port?
hydrofoil was going to take us back to the big ship.
So long day. I think we left at 8. Time we leave? Like it was like 8:30 or so.
Our hydrofoil was like a 9:10.
Yeah.
So.
And we got back on the ship basically right before 6. A little bit before 6. So long day. It's an expensive excursion if you book it through Disney. I think it's like about $200 a person.
Yeah.
And
But there was a lot. We did a lot of stuff.
No, and I'm not complaining about that. So if you want to do it with Disney, you can do that. But if you're more adventurous, I think this is something you could easily do yourself, at least to go over to Capri. Because all you got to do is go over there and book a ferry over, and then once you get over there, just buy a funicular ticket, and that'll take you right up into the little town.
Yeah.
And you can wander around and do it pretty easily yourself, too.
Or you could probably even take the funicular up and then catch a cab to some other part of the town, I imagine. I mean, there were cabs there, so it's cabs that we saw driving around and
Right.
stuff. So.
Or if you're really adventurous, they had like this little rent a moped, a Vespa.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that, I don't know. The roads were super small and crowded, or not crowded, but like curvy and narrow and on the side of a hill. And I would not have wanted to be on a Vespa, but probably one of my children driving, because I would not have been able to do it.
Yeah, definitely don't do that unless you know what you're doing, because it's
Right.
a pretty narrow road. But people were like just renting Vespas and cruising up the hill, and then they turn it into another little spot up there where they turn them in, and then when they wanted to go someplace else, they'd pick it up again. It was almost like a what is a rideshare program kind of thing going on.
It was,
so
I mean, yeah. Not for the faint of heart.
no, but just a beautiful time over in Capri. Really enjoyed that. I'm glad we did that.
Definitely.
I think most of the excursions end up going to Pompeii. We'd been there before, and that's why we decided to do Capri this time.
There are not very many traces that did not go to Pompeii.
Right. So that was kind of yesterday. We haven't done anything really in the evening. We've got late dining, so by the time we got back, they had a magician last night, and tonight is the Golden Mickeys. I haven't looked beyond that, but magician's performing in the down in the district, so I think we'll go watch his show tonight at 10:45.
Yep.
And do that. So we haven't, having late dining is hard to, especially over here if you're like long sport days. It's really tough to come back and see the shows.
Was really only our long day, but yeah, I mean, to do anything really before dinner, like you just need some time to relax. So.
And I guess I want to throw one more thing out there. So we go to Santorini, and allegedly there's going to be 4 or 5 ships there, which caused a lot of chaos, I guess, in the previous sailing. And so we were supposed to get off pretty early in the morning to do our excursion in Santorini, and they've changed it to 11:45 now.
Well, and they also extended in Mykonos and in Santorini, extended our day, so we don't leave at, like, usually Disney leaves about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Right.
And they've extended both of those islands to 8 p.m.
Right. So
I think that's to ease the congestion.
And I guess that's my point, is I think that they learned from that last sailing. They're changing things up for everybody for this one. We'll see how it works out to maybe spread out the crowds with that many ships in town. So
that's a lot of people in a small space.
And I think really what happened, I don't know what happened. From what we heard, one of the cast members said is they ran out of space when there's like a funicular there that they drop you off at, because you have to tender in, and they just ran out of space there, so they had to stop tendering people in.
Because people can get on the funicular quick enough.
Yeah. So that is about it. We got a fun day ahead of us, fun sea day. We're going to go do chocolate and liqueur tasting.
Yes.
We did that with Chad and his beautiful wife, Lynn.
On spring break,
On spring break, I believe. I said that right?
Yeah.
Right? Is that what we did with them, or did we do wine tasting?
No, I think we did that with them.
Yeah, we did chocolate and liqueur, so looking forward
Chad
to do that again. Chad will correct us. They're over enjoying Alani right now, so wish them all the best. I know they're having just a fabulous trip over there. So chocolate and liqueur tasting, kind of lounging around. I know we'll get some pool time, and good dinner tonight at Animators Palette.
Yeah, have a good sea day.
Yeah, so we'll leave it at that, and we'll be back after either Mykonos or Santorini, and we'll catch you on the next snippets. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome back, DCL Podcast fans. We are sitting on our deck in Mykonos. First time here.
We love it.
You just like being back in Greece, don't you?
That was a special place in my heart.
Definitely. And kind of, I'm going to say this, but for those of you who've been to Cabo, kind of Cabo vibes. Nothing whatsoever as far as like the architecture or anything like that, but just the landscape, very desert and rocky kind of terrain, kind of like the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula. So if you've ever been down to Cabo, kind of that. But beyond that, the architecture with the buildings and everything else is completely different. And I have no idea what that noise is.
A cargo ship coming in from Crete.
I
think,
making some noise. All kinds of stuff going on here in the bay today. 2 ferries coming in and out, and Virgin Voyages is here. It's kind of cool. It's the Resilient Lady. Beautiful ship. I really like the look of the Virgin ships. I'll be completely honest, and I know that that's on a lot of people's bucket list to try and sail, and I think we're going to add it, although I'm not sure Wakes is excited about it. She just doesn't know. You've just never listened to any like trip reports from people, and I think you have a good time on it. The food's supposed to be really good. The beds are iffy, but the ship is just kind of cool, like the Disney ships.
It's funky looking.
Please
it's
don't
totally different.
Please don't throw me under the bus on this, but like the Disney ships, they definitely stand out.
It's distinct for sure.
Yeah, and then there's a celebrity something or other over there. I don't know any of the celebrity ships other than the Edge with the big magic carpet thing, but there's some kind of celebrity ship over there, and they both have to tender. We are docked at the Newport, which is away from the old town, but Disney, being Disney, which was excellent, they are providing a free sea bus that takes you from the Newport over to the old port.
Which is nice, and it was for just us. It was really good.
So it was just Disney people, about a 15-minute little ride over from the Newport over to the old port if you wanted to go and explore. We went this morning to a beach, though.
We did.
And what did you think of that?
We loved it. It was super relaxing. Like the other side of the island, Mykonos is very windy. I guess it's the windy island. There were lots of T-shirts that said that.
Yeah.
So we took a bus, like probably half-hour bus ride to the other side of the island, so a more sheltered location. It had beach chairs. There's a little taverna there selling drinks and food, and you could have rented boats and windsurfing stuff, and if you wanted to walk down, we weren't really there that long, to do that. But
we were supposed to be there 4 hours. So the ship docked a little bit late, so we really only got 3 hours at the beach. But we don't normally do that, and
it was super relaxing.
It was totally relaxing.
Totally, yeah.
I guess I will say this. The one thing that we kind of learned when we went to Cozumel was we signed up for an ATV and beach day and food or something like that, and that was just whenever they have 3 or 4 different things going on,
it's too much crammed into a few hours.
You don't really get very much time. I think we were at the beach for maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time you ate, because they included food, so you ate
and you slow and
then you maybe got down to the beach for 45 minutes, and there was there's royal people there and carnival people and then Disney people all kind of mixed together, where this was just us, just Disney people.
Nice.
It was
a
really nice little quiet little resort. So really nice place to hang out. I'll throw some pictures up on Facebook. You can go over there and take a look at it there. I want to go back and just make sure that I kind of thought about this and make sure we weren't negative in what we said. I think what was frustrating, being in the travel business, things just don't run like clockwork all the time. And when we went to Capri, it was just a really busy day, and it's always busy over there. And trying to manage the 40 people or so in our
a lot of people
our tour, and there was 5 different Disney tours on top of just all the regular people that are going to Capri that day too. Plus there was 2 other ships in town, so it's a very busy place. So if you're not into hectic, that's probably not the place to be. And I think I want to make sure that I guess my frustration with the cast member, and it was not a cast member that was representative of the Disney Dream. It was not a Disney Dream cast member whatsoever. And he got in the face of our cast member that was with us, that was just kind of helping out with the tour and kind of, checking the tour out, and saying that this was not efficient like what Disney normally does. Well, this is Europe, and this is not, under your control. And I guess
Disney can only do so much.
That was my frustration. So I don't mean to badmouth anybody, but I think that that was very disappointing to see somebody within their own company trying to get on.
Not being able to see the big picture.
Not being able to see the big picture, exactly. So, and being in the travel industry, I get it. Our flight was canceled coming over here on British, and it was very frustrating trying to pivot and try and figure out how we could still make it over here. So I get the frustrations when things don't go perfect in travel. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So, but then anyway, so we did the beach, came back, had some lunch, and then went over to...
Took the little sea bus over to the main tourist area, Mykonos town, and wandered through the streets and just kind of soaked it all in, saw the windmills, went into a little church.
Talk about the church a little bit. I think that's kind of fascinating. It's Greek Orthodox. How does that work over here?
So I have pretty limited experience, but in my exchange days, the churches are small. That it's not like a go every Sunday type thing, but all of the saints have days, and everybody goes on the saints' days to light a candle and make a donation to the church and kind of pay respects. And everybody goes. When I was on exchange, it was a small town, and there were little under the saint's picture, there was a wire with little metal tags of each family's name, and when you went to church that day, you moved your family's tag over into the I was here spot. It was taking attendance. It was really kind of interesting to me. And I don't know exactly what happens if you don't go, but but everybody went. Everybody in the little town went. So yeah. It's kind of cool. They're small, and it's just different than.
I guess I bring that up because when you come over here and you get off and onto the islands, you will notice that there are little chapels everywhere. And matter of fact, when we went sailing around the Caldera last year in Santorini, there's little chapels right there, and they're on the...
In the water, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the water, but,
Yeah, right on the edge of the water there. For a lot of them are for the sailors and stuff like that. So... Fishermen, exactly. You'll definitely notice them when you come over here. But Mykonos, very windy little town.
Cool.
Cool little alleyways you could just totally get yourself lost in. Eventually you kind of figure it out how to get out of there. But I used my phone several times, definitely, to find our way around there. And there's a little place called Venice, too.
Yeah, Little Venice.
Little Venice. It's an area along the water where there's a bunch of little tavernas, and you can sit outside and look out at the sea and everything else. And
Super cool.
we found one not along there, but a little bit further away, and that was really cool.
It was just like really pretty view of the windmills that are here, and it was neat.
Yeah, just sit
there and look at the water, and totally relaxing.
Yeah, had a view of the windmills and the water, and had a beverage, and it was nice. It was nice to wander around. Lots of little shops you could wander into with jewelry, leather, and of course all
T-shirts.
the t-shirts and all the stuff that you want to get. Bags and you got your we have a collection of watercolor paintings, just small ones that we put in our bathroom.
Got one for here.
Yeah, of all the different places that we've been, so we were able to get that. So that was it, and now it's about 6:00 or so. We are gonna
take showers and go up and watch the ship sail away from Meridian.
Yeah, from Meridian. Well, I think the ship is here till 9.
I know. Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll be at dinner.
Oh, well, I guess we're not watching any sail away.
No, but it'll be a good view looking back towards Mykonos from Meridian tonight. So have that, and then head down to, it's Pirate Night, so just another thing to remember. If you're coming over here, if you're a big fan of Pirate Night, they still do the menu, they do all the music, all that stuff. They do a show, but there are no pirates.
This morning it was Greek music when we left the ship, and when we came back, it was pirate music.
Yeah. There are no fireworks in the Mediterranean, at least not down here in Greece. So they may do it in some other different parts of Europe, but I know down in Greece they don't allow it. So
right. I feel like I remember it when we did the Italy-France one, but maybe I'm making that up.
I can't remember now. It's been
long time ago.
Been kind of a while. So, well, I guess that'll be a wrap for today. Quick, beautiful stop in Mykonos. Really enjoyed it, and I look forward to maybe coming back here someday.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really enjoy about the Greece cruises is, I mean, it's just the beautiful sun. If you like smooth sailing, you can't find a better place in the Mediterranean in the summer. It's just absolutely beautiful, and some great shots of the moon and the sun as it rises and sets as well. So with that, we are going to go enjoy our evening. Oh, hey, you know what? I want to just throw this out there real quick. Christy asked me, I was texting with her this morning, and she was like, what are the kids doing? Oh, and speaking of the kids, here's one of them.
Do you have my main key card still?
Probably, yeah.
Is it? Where is it?
Well.
Give us 2 seconds.
Okay.
It's in your bag.
Anyway, so there we go. Looking for his key card. So we've got
going somewhere.
Yeah, we got 2 rooms next to each other, which we were able to actually, because there wasn't as many bookings this year for a lot of different reasons, I guess. The ship is technically full, I believe, but we were able to get a guarantee rate, and was basically got 2 cabins for the same price as 1, so that was pretty good deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So the kids got their own room, but Chrissy wanted to say, what the kids are doing. Alex is 13, he's still on the edge. Andrew's in Vibe. This is his last year. He's just turned 17. So,
but they both found groups to hang with.
Yeah, so. Like the first night, they both found groups, and we have not seen them hardly at all, other than for dinner and for just right now.
Yeah, when they're looking for something.
Yeah, and for the port excursions, everything like that. So, I guess I would just say this: Andrew's been hanging in with us the last couple cruises because he's gone up there, and it's been.
Groups traveling together. So at Christmas time, and then on those 3-day cruises, it's really hard sometimes, depending upon what your kid's personality is, to find groups. But I think every time we come to Europe, I think there's a lot more families traveling by themselves. There are some groups here, but there's a few,
a lot more families traveling by themselves. So it's a little bit easier, I think, for kids that are maybe, I don't want to say shy, but
just not super. Throwing themselves into the joining.
Into somebody else's big group, that's always hard to join no matter what age you are. Right. So I think it's a little bit easier for the kids to form their groups over here, it seems like. At least that's been our experience. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yep.
All right.
Check in tomorrow after Santorini.
All right, with that, we're going to head to Santorini tomorrow, and then we've got Hania, and then a beautiful sea day, and then back to Rome, Civitavecchia. So with that, we'll sign out. Thanks for coming back. Take a listen. We'll see you after Santorini. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days are gone, I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind and opened up the doors.
Well, welcome back, DCL podcast fans. It's a little bit quieter here. We're actually just kind of chilling out this evening It was a long day today in Santorini, and we're headed to Hania, which was the place that Ahnawake spent some time when she was in high school.
Kind of near Hania.
Kind of near Hania.
Castelli.
West
of Hania.
It's actually called Suda Bay, was where they actually port into, but the closest town is Hania. And Suda Bay is infamous with the military because back in the day, that was a place where a lot of people really wanted to go and spend some time. And I never get to go there.
And on exchange, I was told that I could not take pictures there because it was a U.S. military installation.
It was.
And I said, but I'm American. It's a really cool bay. Can't I take a picture? And they told me, no, you cannot.
I have no idea what the deal is today. This was back in the 90s when I was in there. So anyways, we are going to talk a little bit about Santorini. We were here last year. It is probably one of my favorite places we've ever been to, just because of the magnificence of it. And I didn't really understand what it was. And Nova was making fun of me on Facebook today. She said that
Steve loves a caldera.
he does love a caldera. And I do like a caldera is, so if you know what Crater Lake is, if you've ever been out on the West Coast, Crater Lake is a giant caldera, which is the inside of a volcano. Crater Lake is still a mountain in the middle of nowhere, like inland. So the water is contained, but when you look at Santorini, I mean, it's all part of the sea.
The water was contained, and then there was an earthquake, and then it became uncontained.
It was, and it was one of the largest, as they think. I do believe, and I do not know my history on this, other than the fact that it was probably one of the largest. It's bigger than Krakatoa, right? As far as
the largest volcano, yeah.
Yeah, volcano eruption ever, and it kind of wiped out the Minoan people. Did I say that right?
Minoan, yeah.
Minoan people. And they kind of ceased to exist after Santorini. I don't know if the volcano was necessarily named Santorini, but this volcano erupted, and now it looks like kind of little jagged islands everywhere. But if you if you pull back and look from like a 50,000 foot view, as they like to see on our goofy little why can't I say it right now? Our goofy little podcast that our union puts out. If you take the 50,000 foot view of what's going on with the company right now, if you take a 50,000 foot view of Santorini, you can see that at one point it looks like a volcano, and it's just an amazing place to come. So today there was 4 ships in port.
Yes. Too big, too small.
Too big, too small, sort of big. We were the largest.
Yes.
The next biggest was the Norwegian Jade, which was actually the first ship that you and I sailed on.
Ever, yes.
Yes, we sailed on it out of Venice back in 2014.
Yes.
Went to some amazing spots down into Croatia, Greece, and then also Turkey.
Yes.
What a cool sailing, and that kind of set us on our way as far as, at least my way, as far as being addicted to cruising. So, Santorini, what do we do today, Ahnawake?
Well, our excursion was supposed to be a 7:15 departure, moved to 11:15 departure. So, we left the ship, boarded a bus, went to basically a event space where they had a buffet lunch, Greek food, and then they said music and dancing. And when it started, it seemed that it was going to just be music and like a dancing show, but pretty quickly it was a woman, like it looked like a mother-son combo, and the woman who was out there started to engage the audience, and pretty quickly almost everyone who was in the place was up dancing. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was like 2 girls actually behind us. I think they led the charge, and I wanted to say something to them and their family, but they were, I'm not sure if they were Greek or Italian or something like that, but they didn't speak English. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they led the charge. They went out there with it looked like their grandmother that was traveling with them, and they got out there dancing. And then you didn't really quite want to dance, but I was just like,
I didn't really want to dance either. And I will say that, like, based on my, million year ago exchange experience, I started watching, and I said to Steve, I know this one. And our kids said, you need to get out there and dance. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do that. And then the girls behind us got up and danced, and then a couple of other people got up, and then I was like, oh, I'm going.
Yeah, and you didn't, like, I kind of pushed you that way too. I was like, you got to get there and do it, because you're going to regret it if you don't. And then, that's what we've talked about before. I know the Towlers have talked about this. They're very good about getting up and just being part of you know, and a lot of you guys out there that listen to
Be a
this,
part of the experience.
yeah, a lot of you guys out there to listen to this have been part of the experience, whether it's match your mate or whatever else on board the ships. But don't be afraid to do it also.
Because I will say,
in these
like,
environments.
it was actually a fairly emotional experience, because there was a father who got out and danced with his adult son who has Down syndrome. There was another family with their son in a wheelchair. It was out dancing. It was really cool.
Yeah, lots of moms and dads dancing with their sons and daughters out there, and then just other like people that didn't know anybody were out there dancing
Together.
Yeah.
I mean, I was with the woman who was kind of, in charge, sort of like paired people off, and I was dancing with some woman that I never met before, and we were
just having a great
dancing.
time.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
And one of the guys.
One of the guides got out there. She was amazing.
Yeah, she looked like somebody's grandmother. That she was out there just having She was awesome. She was like spinning and going around all over the place. Anyways, I will put some videos up on Facebook if you want to see.
I will say Greek kids learn folk dancing in school.
Okay,
so
and you will hear Greek music along in the snippets because I took some. I took the leeway to record some of the music, and it will be in between some of these snippets. I just love the music. It was magical. It was really cool. And then, before we talk about the rest of it, I want to go back and just say this. So there was 4 ships in port. This is the Disney Dream's 3rd time coming to Santorini. The first time they were by themselves. We talked to several of the cast members. The second sailing, I kind of followed a little bit along on Facebook and Twitter, and there was a little bit of chaos there. Because there's so many ships in port.
A lot of people. A lot of people in a small space.
In a small space. It's a very small space where if everybody drops off, everybody at the old port where you have to go up the funicular, there's only a limited amount of space for people to get off the tender ships. And so a lot of, it sounded like...
Big choke point.
Yeah, big choke point. A lot of port excursions were canceled, it sounded like, on the first sailing. This one, what they tried to do was to
stagger the times.
And so we were originally supposed to leave at, I think, like 7:15 or something like that. And then they changed it to 11:15, which is awesome. We get to sleep in. We've got a late dinner. It didn't really matter. We were going to be back with the all aboard time before our dinner time. It was a win-win for us. But what I will say this about Disney, at least on this sailing, people that wanted to cancel for whatever reason.
Well, when they adjusted the time,
right.
It meant that if you had an early dinner, there was the possibility that you would not be back in time on board for dinner.
Yeah,
and
you
so
would not have been.
Anyone who had early dinner, they allowed them to cancel and
get their money back.
Yeah.
Which is huge because normally they do not do that. I do not know what they will do in the future, but I think that speaks volumes to Disney it's a bigger ship. Matter of fact, Ed, good friend of the show.
But we're all kind of learning.
Yeah, Ed from the show, he asked me today, he's like, how does it feel between the Magic and the Dream? Are they doing a good job with the amount of people? And I think this is a learning experience for them this year to do that, to try and figure out how to stagger out the amount of people that they have, other ships in port, so that everybody has, a quality experience, because that's what we all want. And it doesn't always work out that way. We've talked about that in Capri.
Well, even, today, as we were
well, that's a whole nother
jumping way ahead. Yeah. But the line for the funicular to get back down to the space where the tenders take you back to the ship. So Disney was the big dog in town today, and then the Norwegian Jade, and then 2 other smaller cruise ships. And, there was a Disney cast member up sort of managing
one of the officers
managing the line for the cable car back down, and she said that some person came up and was yelling at her about Norwegian, and she said, well, I don't work for Norwegian. And so Disney's even managing the other ship's passengers, which...
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it was going to be an hour and a half wait. This does not work for everybody. It's a 20-minute walk down if you take the donkey path down. It's very steep.
It may have been more than 20 minutes, but not much more.
It's about 20 minutes.
20, 30.
Anyways, whatever it is, 20 or 30 minutes.
Much.
Depending upon how fast you take it. It took us about 20 minutes to go down. If you want to skip the hour and a half wait, which is not necessarily ideal for everybody, I totally understand that. Once again... This is just part of traveling to Europe. This is part of traveling to the Greek islands. It was not like this in Mykonos yesterday, But if you go to Santorini, it's going to be that way. If there's 4 ships in town, there's just so many people. But the magic of it, the beauty of being able to see what you're going to be able to see and experience what you're going to be able to experience, watching, like you said, the dad and his son out there dancing, and the dad with the wheelchair, and all the other girls who are out there dancing, and you out there.
Well, I mean, even, sorry, but I'm jumping ahead again, but the walking down, choosing to not wait in the line for the funicular and walking down the path that the donkey taxi uses was a little bit of a bonding experience with the people that chose to do it.
It is.
There was a group of us, and we were like, yes, we made it, and it's an adventure.
There was a mom and her daughter. The daughter was probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something like that. And she was like, what they need to do is because they gave us a free pass to get on the funicular. It's like, if you show up at the ship with this pass, meaning that you didn't use it, it means that you get a free drink of the day.
Yeah, we were like, yes,
yeah,
that's what we need.
The drink of the day in Santorini should be called the funicular, but
we had a better name for it, but
yeah. Anyways, so we jumped way ahead here, but it's not for everybody. It can be a little bit of chaos here in Santorini in some ways. If you get off early, get back before everybody's trying to get back, it's probably better. And we were even talking about, it's like, maybe if you waited until the very end, maybe it would be better. But the bottom line is, they said the last tender was at 7:30, and we still saw tenders coming across at like 7:45, maybe even close to 8 before we actually left. So
don't push it. But,
don't push it. But they
know that if you're in line, they're not going to leave you.
Right. I mean, our excursion dropped us off. It was a 10-minute walk to the funicular, and then it was an hour and a half wait at our point at 5:00 at night. So they know, and that's why they had the officer that they had up there kind of monitoring and watching, and everything else is going on. Okay, so after our Greek experience with the dancing and the music, which was absolutely amazing, then we finally went to Oya, and this is kind of like Ia, sorry. So it was basically get some food, have this like amazing Greek experience, and then like go do some sightseeing. So we went to Ia, which is the quintessential place where when you see these pictures that Disney Cruise Line puts up of Greece with the white.
Any travel poster that says Greece is Ia in Santorini.
Right,
period.
with the white buildings,
the blue roofs, church, the water. That's what it is.
So they dropped us off. We had about an hour and a half. She kind of gave us a little orientation of the town.
Land. Yeah.
And then we had an hour and a half to kind of explore on our own. And you could just wander around the town and find those picturesque spots and get those photos. Once again, go over to Facebook.
Tuck into the alley and
go over to Instagram, and you can see those photos. But otherwise, it was fun to kind of wander around a little bit. We did that. We got some pictures. We went to Gelateria because it was really hot.
Well, and I also say, so public restrooms in Europe, pretty much across the board, cost money. It's, 50 cents, €1 in there somewhere to use the public restroom. But if you tuck into the Gelateria and buy a scoop, you can probably use the bathroom. Or, yes, you can use the bathroom for free.
So we found a cool place.
It's the included bathroom.
Yeah. So we found a cool place to like get some gelato, cool off in the air conditioning, and then go back out and explore a little bit more. And then we got back on our bus. We went over to Fira, which is the capital of Santorini, and that's actually where the funicular is. That takes you down to get to the tenders back to where the Dream is going to be, which is in this year. The Dream's here this year. She's going to be there next year, and the feeling I get from the crew and everybody else is, I think the Dream is here to stay.
I think so too. Yeah, I've gotten that impression.
And I think they're doing a good job with it. It's a learning experience from this year.
They love it. The crew is super excited to be doing something different.
The crew is super excited to be out of Port Canaveral and doing the 3 and 4 night sailings. They love going down to Miami, and they're really embracing Europe. And there's a lot of learning going on. I think this year you can kind of see it in different aspects, but they're doing all they can, like just like we said, trying to figure out how how to manage people getting off a bigger ship and make sure that their experiences
Manage more people.
Yeah, manage more people and make sure that experience is a quality experience. So then we came back to Thera. F spelled Thira,
E.
but it's Thera. Anyways, so another great little space to wander around. They do have some blue domes there, the white buildings up on the top of the cliffs, and a bunch of little alleyways you get lost in. And actually, I thought, and you said this, that you kind of liked it a little bit better than Ia.
I will say, I mean, I was kind of disappointed that last year we didn't make it to Ia. And I was really looking forward to it this year. And I don't know if it's because I had high expectations or we didn't have enough time or what it was, but I actually like Thera better. And I mean, I really enjoyed the driving around on the bus, kind of in the backside of the island where you get to see where the real people live. But yeah, Thera's kind of like cool restaurants, beautiful views, great shops. I like it.
Yeah, other than a couple of those quintessential shots that you see in all the, I guess,
Travel posters,
publications, stuff like that, you get just the same vibe in Thera as you're going to get in Ia. So that's Thera, Ia, keeps us all straight. Say those three times fast. But bottom line, great little town to wander around in. A lot of wonderful little shops. And last year we had a great lunch after our sailing around the caldera. Came up on the funicular, had a lunch that just looked out over the caldera and the ships and everything like that. So either way you go, whichever way you decide, it's a great space to explore and a lot of fun places to kind of lose yourself and find some cool little knickknacks or different shops and that type of stuff. So from there, we wandered down the donkey path. Once again, know your limitations. If you're athletic, you're not going to have any problems whatsoever. Wear some good shoes. That'll help.
Although I did it in flip-flops.
And this year, because we did it last year, it went by really quick, and it didn't seem as bad. And I'm not sure what changed as far as whether it was slippery or not.
I think that they made some... I mean, I think that they did some concreting of the path. Last year was super slippery, and it didn't seem that way
this year.
I mean, there was a couple of spots where I was slippy, but it was not bad.
Bottom line, we got down in about 20 minutes. There is a... right before you start down the path, there's like one or two shops. Make sure you stop in and get a bottle of water.
A little mini market, yeah.
Yep, a little mini market. You can get a bottle of wine if you want to take it back on board the ship, some beers.
You probably don't want to have the wine before the path. That could be bad.
There was a guy from the Norwegian Cruise Line, so he was like, yes, this is like the ultimate workout and all that type of stuff. I'm getting a beer and everything else. So we were high-fiving and everything like that. And so he made it down. And
he did make it down.
Had a good time. So get a beer if you want to. Know your limits.
Yeah.
But bottom line is...
I'm pretty sure I could not have done alcohol and the path.
No, but grab a water or something like that because it can get a little hot out there. And it smells like a barn. But
it's a barn.
But it's a lot of fun. I'll put a video.
I took a cool video of the donkeys.
Yeah, I'll put Ahnawake's video up of the donkeys.
Donkey taxi.
So from there, we were back onto the ship. Beautiful sunset. The scenery is almost like it's not real.
It's not real.
When you're looking out at it. The lighting in the evening as we were kind of having... We did TV Tunes trivia over in 678. Yeah.
8-7.
687, excuse me. But you had the big windows looking out over it, and then we walked around deck 4 before we went to dinner, and the lighting was just amazing. So if you get a chance to come to Santorini, I think you're really going to enjoy it. So from here, we are off to Hanya.
Hanya, woohoo!
And this is a longer sentence than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it was a great time. We're looking forward to our next port stop in Hanya. Going to be beach day, and then we got a sea day, and then we are off back in Civitavecchia again. It's amazing how fast 7 days goes. But,
yes.
But it's been a great cruise so far, and we'll be back at least after Hanya, or maybe during the sea day to talk about that. And thanks for coming back and take a listen. And we'll see you on our next episode. Goodbye, Riddy.
Bye.
ready to leave, just waiting for our last few guests to get on board, and soon we'll be heading off back out through the bay and out into the Ionian Sea. Tomorrow, of course, a relaxing day at sea, and I'm sure after the last couple of days you'll be looking forward to recharging your batteries and enjoying our hospitality on board. And remember, we'll be putting the clocks back 1 hour tonight, so an extra hour in bed. As some of you have already asked me, but we do plan on transiting the Messina Straits around 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m.
Cool.
The Messina Straits, of course, the narrow body of water between Sicily and mainland Italy, so you'll get a great view of both. Weather tomorrow, we expect a fresh breeze from the north up to 20 knots, seas around 4 feet, plenty of sunshine, temperatures 74 Fahrenheit, which is 24 degrees Celsius. Well, whatever you do this evening, please enjoy, and once again, welcome back on board.
Well, welcome back, DCL Podcast fans. It's our last snippet's probably on board. I don't think we'll do one tomorrow. We are on a sea day.
Woo! Nothing better than a sea day.
Nothing better than a sea day. Well, some of the port days are fun too. We are sailing to the Ionian Sea, which you schooled me yesterday that the Ionian is on the west side of the Italian peninsula, and what's on the east side?
Ionian is between Greece and Italy, and the Aegean is on the other side of Greece.
Okay. Greece and Italy. So we're in the Ionian, right?
West of Greece, but Aegean is east of Greece.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We're talking about Greece instead of Italy. My bad. Anyways, we just passed through the Straits of Messina a couple hours ago.
That was super cool.
Which is between the island of Sicily and the very south. Well, I'm going to just say it's the southeastern portion or southwestern portion of the Italian boot, the mainland.
The toe of the boot.
The toe of the boot, yeah. It was really cool to be able to see that. Remember that last year when we sailed through there, we were able to see it both ways. This time, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Going, yeah.
Yeah, when we were headed towards Mykonos. So, talk a little bit about yesterday, visiting Hania, and talk a little bit about Paolo. And then we'll talk about our sea days. So, our day started yesterday in Hania, which is, you actually port in Suda Bay. And then the little town of Hania is nearby, and we ended up doing a beach day. What did you think of the beach day?
It was lovely. It was like all over, probably all over Greece now. They have beach clubs where it's like, lounge chairs, and there's a little bar, and there's a pool, and we asked our guide, and she said that people probably just do like a pay for the day or pay for a couple of days if they're there. It wasn't a hotel. It was just a place where you could go and be at the beach and have
just a higher end beach experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they had like lounge chairs with umbrellas, and they got servers coming out there, kind of like if you've been to Alani, that kind of feel.
Resorty, yeah.
Resorty kind of
without
feel.
the hotel part.
Right, without the hotel part. So really nice.
So she did tell us that it was definitely a place that locals came to, and that we would be leaving about 1, and that we would probably see the locals arriving about 1.
It was funny because one of the passengers like, wow, they're making it a good deal here. Take the crazy cruise ship passengers in the morning, and then
getting the regulars in the afternoon.
So they're making money both sides of the clock. Mm-hmm. So good businesses by them. But yeah, it was a really nice place. And our good friends the Bragas, I was texting with Chris yesterday, and maybe it was on Twitter, I guess. He sent a picture that they had been there last year.
That's what I thought. That's what I remembered, but I wasn't 100% sure it was the same place.
So real nice. So we had a lounge chairs while we were there. We had like 4 hours at the beach, which was for us like a good amount of time.
It was a good amount of time.
It was a perfect amount of time. So Alex and I actually got up. You can hear the ocean kind of splashing along. Hopefully it's not too loud. We're sitting on our balcony having our included Prosecco.
Yeah, our platinum Prosecco.
The
kids got the chocolates in their room, and they were gone like within 20 minutes of delivery.
Right. And our Prosecco's been sitting in the fridge for like 5 days, and we're like,
waiting for us.
We have got to finally drink this. Last day we're having a drink as we pack and get ready to go. So Alex and I rented paddle boards. It was like 15 euros each, so like $30 or 30 euros. And we paddled over to an island for an hour. It was fun. It was kind of cool. There's a couple little boats in this little cove. The island you actually can't get onto. It's a protected space. Once a year, I guess they allow some of the Greeks or people to go over there. And there's a little chapel on there, and they go have a church service based on the saint that chapel represents. I can't remember what she said.
A lot of saints.
Yeah, a lot of saints. But the water was warm. It was beautiful. And then you guys did a little fun thing too.
They had this. It said on the the little reader board that you could ride on the sofa around the island. And of course the kids were like, Mama will never ever do that. And I was like, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And so the three of us went out, and for 25 euros a person, we rode on this little, I don't know, like a
big floaty
tube
thing.
that looked like it had a back on it, and handholds and all that kind of stuff, and went out behind a speedboat, and he towed us around the island, and it was super fun. We laughed. I mean, it was great.
So good time at the
I
beach.
I did a lot of like which of course made my teenagers die laughing.
Yeah, but a good time at the beach. You got some food there. The food was really good. You guys had a Greek salad.
Alex had a souvlaki plate. It's good.
Yeah, so it was a great couple hours on the beach in the morning, and then this was an early port day. I'm not sure exactly. It was a Sunday, so I guess the people that had gone downtown, normally there's a market in Hanya that's open.
Closed.
But it was closed on a Sunday. We talked to one of the cast members, and they'd gone down there thinking they were going to do that, but they pivoted, got some coffee, and had a good time down there as well.
Right.
So we left fairly early.
They had shuttles. They had free shuttles from
point.
the port to Old Town Hanya.
So it's I think it's like a 15-minute taxi ride from the research I did before, and Disney set up a free bus shuttle. So if you didn't want to do a port excursion, which there wasn't really too much, and I think the main reason is there's a lot of things you can do on Crete, but it takes a longer time. Like last year we did the hike, and that was like a 7 or 8 hour tour.
Right, there was no way we could have done it and left by 3.
Yeah, and because it was such a short port time this year, we could.
I think
they were kind of limited on what they could do, so they did do the buses.
The whole ship was at the beach with us.
Yeah, the whole ship. Well, there was a lot of people that took the buses in the Old Town, and the Old Town's supposed to be really amazing. I did looking at some different sites. We was kind of hard pressed what we really wanted to do, but after wandering around Mykonos and then also Santorini, Oya, and Fira the other day, we felt like we'd seen enough of the shops and that type of stuff. But I mean, it's completely a little bit different feel in the Old Town of Hanya. But we felt like we'd done that, so we just opted to stay with the beach day.
And looking at the pictures of Hanya makes me realize that how long ago it actually was that I was on exchange there.
So I will say that
I'm not going to say how many years that was.
Yeah, it was 100 years ago.
100
years ago.
At least.
But as you said, back in the day, there was maybe just some little mom and pop places, no resorts like what we went to.
Yeah, there were no beach umbrellas.
And now they're everywhere.
Yes.
So it's definitely a beach destination for people that are coming probably from Europe somewhere generally to spend some time in the sun. So then we pivoted. We got back on the ship, had a kind of relaxing day by the pool, and then we went to Palo last night.
We did.
But before we went to Palo, we went to Meridian, and I have to say that
we have really enjoyed Meridian. Like for a pre-dinner drink, the view is amazing. The staff up there, the 3 bartenders are just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, when
great personalities, they make great drinks. It's great.
Unlike the Magic and the Wonder, which I love dearly, they have a bar up in Palo, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually sit there and you actually look towards the kitchen, which would be kind of cool. But if you haven't been on the Dream or the Fantasy, Meridian sits at the very back of the ship. It's in between Palo and Remy, and the view can be spectacular. When we went up there purposefully the day we were in Santorini and just having a drink before dinner. I mean, the view was like the lighting and the scenery was just like something like it didn't
look real. I mean, there were 2 women sitting next to us, and one of them said, "This looks like something that Disney painted. Like it doesn't look like it looks like it's the screen. This like we're waiting for it to like it to sparkle and the scene to change like it does in Skylines. Like it doesn't look like it could even possibly be real out there."
Or a hyperspace lounge if you've been on the list, where it jumps into hyperspace and takes you someplace else.
Oh, here we're doing something different now. It's like, nope, that's real. That's what it looks like out there.
And I had a smoked. If you get an opportunity to do that, go up and get the smoke. If you like old fashions, go up, pick your favorite bourbon, and get the smoked old fashioned up there. At least on the Dream.
Steve took a video, so
we'll post it on Facebook. It was to die for. It was really good, and I get the idea actually from somebody else when
watching
we were up there.
Somebody else, yeah. We're like, what is that?
A couple days before, and he was like, this is the best old fashioned I've ever had. So the smoked old fashioned. Matter of fact, it makes me want to get one of those smoke guns. I may have to do that. Stupid investments, maybe.
I'm sure investment goes with that.
I know. But,
Purchase. It is a
Yeah,
purchase.
maybe. What is it? What is it like when you purchase things on a whim?
I don't know.
Spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Purpose. I don't know. They need to put those out in the liquor stores, I guess, or something like that. As you walk out, you know, the checkout line, like the stuff for kids. You get your little smoke gun. But yeah, that was really good. Then we went to Palo, and Palo did not disappoint.
Nope, always good.
Although we figured out that this is the first time we've been to Palo on the Dream.
Yeah, exactly. We sat down and I was like, this isn't, I mean, it's basically the same as the fantasy, but it's just slightly different. I was like, this doesn't look familiar to me.
Right.
Which is odd, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We both did the prefix. We both like the 6-ounce sirloins that they have up there.
The fillet. I like the stuff
Filet,
that it comes
excuse me.
with. I like that it's, yeah.
Right. And I get a kick out of this. Okay, so I just love the cast members that we've gotten to talk to along the way. And Peter, who was our server last night from Great Britain, he has 2 days left, and he's getting off, and he's
Right.
done with Disney. He's not, and there's no negative whatsoever. He's really enjoyed his time here, but he's ready to move on with his
Something
life.
else. Yeah.
And so he and his girlfriend are going to spend a year in Europe traveling around, and then he's moving to Australia, and he wants to become a pilot or do something
Yes,
in
yes.
aviation. So, like,
It's super interesting. It just, and actually, so when he brought my souffle at the end of dinner, he said, "This is a French dessert served in an Italian restaurant by a British man." It's a pan-European dessert.
yeah. So
I
Peter,
got a kick at him.
I'm sure you're not listening to this, but if you are, all the best to you. You made our
Right,
night,
for
and
sure.
how do we like quit our jobs and travel through Europe for a year and then move to Australia?
You do before you have children.
Well, yeah, I guess you do that. Which is, anyways, good on him, and all the best to him as well as he travels. So from that, we went to trivia last night. We did British trivia, which like Ahnawake was kind of like British tunes trivia, and she was like, I don't think you were.
I said we're going to be terrible at this.
And I don't
But
think you
after
were
the
too.
first 5, I got kind of cocky.
You weren't too excited about it to begin with. Let's be honest.
I got the first 5, and I think that we were well ahead of the game with the first 5, and then the next 15 happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was like no, I think we did good in the next 15, but there was a couple that was like, oh, I should have known that one, like
Right.
One Direction.
I will say what we are learning with the music trivia in particular, especially when it's like that, like it's not an actual decade of music. You need a multi-generational group. Like we aren't good enough, just the two of us. We need some kids. We need some old people.
Yeah,
Because there was one song that was super old that we were like, yeah, I recognize that. And
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, and I just kept saying, I think he just died. That was all I could really remember.
Yeah, and I'm guessing if you're a millennial, you probably don't know who Tom Jones is unless you're really into
Right,
your
that's
music.
really into music. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was Tom Jones and One Direction, and then a whole bunch of 80s stuff in the middle that we did actually know.
Yeah.
Well, and like the Stones and the Beatles and
Stones, Beatles,
Kinks,
yeah,
we knew
Oasis,
that, yeah.
Kinks, yeah. But it was funny when they played the One Direction song, which was You Don't Know You're Beautiful, or
yeah.
anyways, like all the younger people got up and they were like singing it like with their hearts, man.
And doing the moves, and we
Yeah.
were left in the dust.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that song a million times, but I did not notice. I did not.
I actually like that song, but not, yeah. I
Yeah,
had
the
no
beginning
idea.
did not like.
Nope, no
did
idea.
Not, did not stick with me when that one came out. So yeah, that was fun. Then we saw the Juggler. He did his adult
We saw him
show.
last year on the Magic.
Yeah, he was good.
He was
I liked
good,
him.
funny.
Yeah, from England. He did a show today, a matinee at noon, and then they have Disney's Believe tonight. So that's the final show tonight. So from there we went to our C Day, which I succumbed and finally did a couples massage,
Did.
which
I get a massage pretty much every single cruise, and Steve has never ever had a massage ever.
yeah, she basically Ahnawake just disappears, and then I see her like an hour and a half, 2
Oh,
hours later.
Greasy hair.
Greasy hair and just happy.
Relaxed.
Happy and relaxed and going like that. This has made my cruise. And so I finally succumbed, and I have to say that was fun. It was,
was
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to get to do that.
Yeah.
I for those of you who've never done that before, it was like I don't know if you want any information, but you just gotta go in there and you do it together. There's like no talking or anything like that.
That
I
was
suppose
weird.
you could talk.
You
I
could
guess.
talk. I don't like to talk.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me.
Maybe that's you. But
I'm not a chatter during my massage.
they got some good music and some,
One of the I think the gal who did my massage said it's okay if you sleep, which I think was telling us please don't talk.
and maybe that was it too.
She
but
set the tone.
She did, but it was
good. Fine by me.
It was really nice. I mean, it was like a little bit bigger room. You had a great view of
It was
the
awesome.
ocean.
The view was beautiful.
Yeah, not that you were looking at it because you were getting your massage,
Yeah.
looking straight down and not seeing anything because
But
you had your
still,
eyes closed.
you know it's
but
there.
It was there. Yeah, from there, after that, we got some food and then kind of lounged around for a couple hours.
So, as we headed through the Straits of Messina today, it was really, really windy. Like, head up on deck to try to get our seats, and like difficult standing. The wind was so hard, was blowing so hard. People were like, "What in the world?" It was comical.
Yeah.
Flip flops blowing around. I mean, it was
Towels,
it
people's
was
bags.
nuts. Yeah.
It was a little bit of chaos there for a couple seconds, but then going through the Straits of Messina was really cool. There was actually probably, I don't know, a couple hundred people, maybe a couple hundred some a reach, but definitely at least 100 people up there on the front, up in
For sure,
Satellite Falls,
for sure.
watching us as we sailed through the Straits. And it's a really kind of narrow point. It's actually a space where they get a pilot on board because there's like so many ships and it's a very narrow space. So they actually bring a pilot on board to help navigate the ship through there. So from that's about it. We are way ahead of the game as far as packing goes, which is never
Never the case.
which is why we're now sitting out here enjoying our Prosecco in the sun, watching the Mediterranean
hoping
flow
that our
by.
children manage to pack their things.
Yes, hopefully. Well, if worst comes to worst, they'll get it done in the morning. So,
Yes.
But it has been a great cruise.
It has been. I love it over here. I love the Mediterranean. I love the sun. I love the ocean. I love the places that these cruises stop. I love the cultures. I love the food. It's just, this is my happy place, 100%.
If you're coming anytime soon and you're a DVC member, go down and you're on the Dream. Go and see Sarah. She's super cool.
Yes.
That's not necessarily usually our jam to go and
Chat with the DVC
do all
people.
the DVC. We love DVC, but it's just not like our jam necessarily on the ship to go and do that. But we talked to her several days. She's from Nebraska, so if you're a Nebraska fan, go Big Red, all that type of stuff. She went to high school right down the street from my high school, which is kind of cool. But yeah, go down and say hi to Sarah. She was super cool, and there was a reason why I brought this up, and now I'm like totally drawing a blank as to why.
Get the gifts.
Yeah, get the gifts. Yeah, get your DVC gifts and everything like that. But that's been kind of fun chatting with her as well. So I guess with that, we'll just leave it at that. We are headed to Enchanted Garden tonight, having a dinner with our serving crew. They've been amazing. And then we're going to finish it out with there's a gal named Kat who works in Pink. And
Right.
She's a character. Like she's from South Africa. She's got a very dry sense of humor, I think.
So she worked in the Cove this morning, and she saw us when she was leaving the Cove, and she's like, "What are you doing hiding up here?" It's like 8:30 in the morning. She's like, "You need to be in Pink." We're like, "It's 8:30 in the morning." We'll see you later today.
Yeah, you're not in Pink yourself yet. So. We will definitely see you later in the day, but yeah, the Mediterranean I think is like a huge win for us. We've really enjoyed. I know. I guess this is where I was going with Sarah. Okay, so Sarah asked us, "What was your favorite port?" And I guess my answer to this cruise is I don't think that I really had a favorite port, but there was favorite moments from each one of the ports.
Yes.
And I think we talked about them, but I would go back to Mykonos, just wandering around in the alleys and the beautiful view where we had a drink and looked out over the windmills.
Yep.
And then for Capri and Naples, taking the chairlift ride up was
It was a surprise.
It was a super surprise. It was quiet. The smells were amazing, and you get this beautiful view when you get up on the top of the mountain. Birds and everything else. Santorini, just the view around that caldera is spectacular, but really it was the music, and I'm not sure, I think we talked about it, but that
Greek Fiesta.
the
Yeah,
Greek
everybody getting up and
Fiesta,
dancing.
everybody
Yes.
up and dancing, and the music. I mean, he played for a good 30 minutes of just this lively, fun, folk Greek music, and I guess it's just my kind of jam.
Yep,
I loved
totally.
it. So you'll be able to hear it on this probably a long show from Greece.
I'm doing a lot of talking.
They're talking in the music, and then finished up at Hania, just a relaxing day on a beautiful
Yep.
beach. So I think it's more not necessarily there's a great port to sit out, but just those moments in each one of
The overall,
ports.
yes.
So I guess with that, we're gonna let it go. You can hear people maybe down there playing shuffleboard down.
We're on deck 6, so
Yeah.
it's been kind of a funny thing that we can hear
deck 4.
hear the shuffleboard and stuff. It was just it's fun.
Yeah. So wherever you guys are cruising, I hope you guys have a magical summer. This has been a great time for our family to spend time together, see some different countries, and then cruise around the Mediterranean again.
We love it.
We love it. So all the best to you. Thanks for coming back and taking a listen to the snippets. And we'll probably close out with just a quick one as we finish up our time in Rome tomorrow.
Yep, for sure.
All right. All the best, everybody. We'll talk to you next time on the
Bye.
DCL Podcast. Bye. Well, welcome back, DCL Podcast fans. We are going to just do a quick recap to finish up our time in Europe and sailing on the beautiful Disney Dream around Greece this past couple weeks. Overall, Ahnawake, what was your thoughts of this trip?
Just loved it. Loved the whole thing.
We are in a quiet place at the Rome airport getting ready to head back to Portland, and we thought we'd kind of finish it up with this. Overall, what was your thoughts as far as doing a land vacation versus a cruise? Would you do the land portion first like we did a week, and then the cruise, or would you do the cruise first?
I think as far as adjusting to the time zone changes and making sure that you, I guess, get the most out of the cruise vacation, doing the land portion first is best. It kind of is a nice way to ease into things. You can kind of manage your own activity level, I guess, and do it on your own time schedule, seeing whatever you want to see prior to the cruise. And actually, like, after the 7, 8, 9, however long days on the cruise ship, we're beat, and I'm not sure we would enjoy something after.
I think it's a little bit of the stimulation on the ship. Not that, we're not busy during the land part of it either. But I think it's just the stimulation of being on the ship, the multiple days of going to different places, gearing up to see different things and all that type of stuff. Yeah, we the last 2 years, we booked a hotel at the Rome airport and then just crashed there for a couple hours. Right. After we got off the ship, it's like all we had to do was get up, eat breakfast, and then we were like, everybody was just tired.
All 4 of us took a nap yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, but luckily we rallied, got up, and took the train into Rome, had a beautiful dinner there, and walked down to the Colosseum the last time, got some pictures.
Yep.
I love the Colosseum in the evening.
It's gorgeous as the sun's setting.
It is beautiful. So overall, I do have some thoughts about the Dream in Europe. But overall, what was your thoughts about the Dream in Europe this year, Ahnawake?
Just it's a lot more people. It's a learning curve for Disney's learning, the crew's learning. Everybody's getting it all figured out. It seems like the crew was super excited to be doing something different, learning new places and going new places. I lost my train of thought right there.
Lost your train of thought, yeah. So, anyways, I think, yeah, as to your point, I think a lot of the crew members we talked to said, at first they were a little hesitant about going to Europe and having things changed up, but once they got over there, they are absolutely loving it. Everybody we've talked to has really enjoyed it. They're finding new cafes to get off and explore, new places to shop, and lots of great sights to see when they get a chance to take that in as well. But to that point, I think this is going to be a learning curve, and I'm taking this from like some different comments that people made on Twitter, some of the stuff that was made in our Facebook group that we were with, and then also looking at what happened the cruise before versus our cruise. And I think this is going to be kind of a little bit of a learning curve for the Dream and its crew, and actually it's really its staff. And Doug in our Patreon group talked about how he'd gone to the Castaway Club Gold and Beyond celebration. It really wasn't what he thought it was going to be after listening to what other people had experienced. And it's funny how, we kind of take it for granted that like companies are seamless and you can go from place to place to place and it's always the same. But as we all know, those of you who've sailed on different ships, the ships have their own personalities, and a lot of that has to do with the crew, but it also has to do with who is the leadership in charge.
Board,
and the captain's part of it, but really when it comes down to the crew, it's the hotel side that really runs it and sets kind of the tone there. And I think there's some learning curves there that they're going to have to go through this summer.
That happen even on a 7-night cruise don't happen on a 3 or a 4-night. So a lot of the things, this crew has only done 2 or 3 times maybe before, right? So like they're not. I don't know.
They've done a few more because they were doing some sailings out of Miami, which are 5 and 6 nights, and then the transatlantic coming over here. Yeah. But still, it takes some time. And to your point, at times I felt like the crew was a little bit rushed, and it was kind of like that sense that like we only get 3 or 4 days, we get a turn, and then not that they were rushing our experiences,
because they weren't.
But more just you kind of had that. It was less the vibe like when we ran into Gabriel, who was our server last year, and he'd been on the Magic for a while. He was like so relaxed and just kind of chill and everything like that. And sometimes the people that have been on the Dream for so long were a little bit, I'm going to say this word, and it didn't feel this way, but they were kind of frantic. Like they were like trying to get everything done because they were going to turn it over in 3 days. And
because that's what they do. That's what they're good at.
That's
right?
their DNA. And so I think it's going to take a little time for them to learn. So some good things that we saw, which DCL pivoted on, and we'll use Santorini as an example. When we talked to the crew, the first time they got to Santorini, they were the only ship there. So it was an easy port day for them. The next sailing that they had, they were one of 5, and that's the one.
And it sounded like big ships.
Yeah, there's some big ships, and there's a small area where everybody gets off and goes up the funicular, and that was so crowded that they had to stop taking people off the ships and over to the funicular. So people's port excursions got canceled, and they learned from it by spreading out the excursion start times.
Right, and just being in port a longer time.
Right, and being in port a longer time. And so, and because they were in port a longer time, and that was one of the things that I hope this all kind of makes sense. That was one of the things we saw in Naples. Last year we left at 5. We've always left Naples at 5. And this year we didn't leave until 7:30. And Andrew, our oldest, said he saw people in line. Like there was a good line trying to get on all the way until 7 o'clock that night. So with that many more people trying to get everybody off the ship in the morning and then back on the ship in the afternoons and into the evenings, I think that's part of the reason why they've extended those port times, which is an advantage to all of us.
Right, exactly. It's nice.
But also an advantage to them as well to be able to everybody have those experiences. So we already talked about this, but they moved our Santorini excursion from 7:15 to 11:15. And it was nice because we didn't feel rushed at all as far as that day, even though our excursion left later because we knew the last tender was at 7:30, so we had a lot more time to get back to the ship.
Exactly.
So I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Pack your patience a little bit. Europe is crowded. At times it's really crowded. At other times you find those quiet moments where you can really enjoy it. Not that you can enjoy it when it's crowded. You're still seeing some great things.
We said, a lot of these, there's small towns in, with lots of people being dumped in all at once.
Right, at least as far as the Greek places go. But then, you get to Florence if you're doing a Mediterranean, and then as she heads up towards the Baltic and starts sailing around there, a little bit bigger port towns there as well. So overall, we had a great experience in Europe this year. Love seeing the Dream there. It's kind of fun although we always have a soft spot for the Magic.
I know.
Being over there, but it was fun to be on a different ship and to kind of experience the different spaces. What was one of your favorite spaces on the Dream this time?
Oh man,
Putting you on the spot. I really enjoyed 687. We don't normally go to the pub.
We don't usually. That's not usually a spot we go. But the bar crew there they were great.
Yeah, if he's run into Vernon, he's a great guy, and then Rashad.
Yeah.
They helped us out with trivia a couple times. We always set up at the bar because it was crowded. We do 7:45 music trivia and then go to dinner at 8:30. That was a lot of fun.
We needed some young blood on our team. Let's just say, and they helped us out.
Yeah, the 2000s trivia was not our wheelhouse.
No.
And then Meridian too. Meridian was
I would say both of those two Meridian for sure.
Yeah, the adult area was super packed this time on the sea days.
Yeah,
it was really busy, but we usually get some chairs up above it anyways. So, but the pool was busy. It was adult soup there almost every day after as the ship got ready to sail, or especially on those sea days. So, I hope you enjoyed this kind of look at what we experienced. If you're setting sail for Europe this summer or wherever you're going, just want to wish you the best. Enjoy your time on the ship with your family and everything. And what do we have next? What's next for us cruising wise?
Cruising wise, October, San Diego. Little quick weekend Ensenada, stay at sea.
Yeah, Magic with some friends. We're taking some friends for the first time.
Some brand new, never been on a Disney ship before cruisers. So
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see their thoughts. They've cruised before on Norwegian and stuff like that, so it'll be interesting to see what their thoughts are with it. So, anyways, all the best. Enjoy your time this summer if you're sailing over to Europe or if you're sailing, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Thanks for coming back and taking a listen, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody, and happy sailing.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney.
All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.